So today we are going to do leaning, so you will be able to lean left and right. So let's just get into it. So let's go into G-code, let's go to blueprints and go to your main player. In the main player, just find a free spot, or you can create a new graph if you want to. Somewhere here. And we are going to have a custom event. This will be start leaning right. Just like that. And another one, this one will be stop leaning right, and it's going to be similar for the left and right, but for now let's do it's going to be similar to left as well. So first let's do the right one. So we are going to create a variable called leaning left question mark, and another one called leaning right, just like that. Let's have a blueprint. We are going to have not boolean and plug in leaning left. So if we are leaning right, or if we are leaning left, then we are not going to lean right. So after this, after true, I'm gonna create a timeline. This will be leaning right timeline. Before we create the timeline, from the stop, you're going to have the same branch, so you can just copy it. And the true will be a sequence, because we are going to stop it and set it a new time. After that, the new time right here, we're going to do some calculations, you could say. So we're going to get the camera. Yep. And get world location, just like that. Then we are going to have distance vector. So as you can see, we need another vector to get that. We are going to get the spring arm and get world location as well. Plug that in. Now we're gonna divide it by, for example, let's do 75 for now. 75. You can do whatever you want with the value. You can make a player setting structure or just promote it into a variable. I'm just gonna promote it, I guess, called leaning amount centimeters. So in centimeters. So after you divide it, just plug it into the new time, just like that. So now we are going to create the timeline, so open it up. Let's add the track called animation, or actually position Y, because it's more accurate. I'm gonna create a variable, call it, well, set it to 0, 0. Another one at 1 and 1. And right click on it, set it to auto. And the first one as well, so it should look like this, and the length will be 1 as well. After that, go back to event graph, and there should be the float position Y. So now we are going to from finish create a variable. If it equals, if you call leaning right, there should be a timeline right here, get leaning right timeline, get that, and get playback position, plug that into the A section. So if the playback position equals to 0, we are going to put leaning right to false. But when it updates, it's going to be true every time. Now let's get the spring arm. Let's get socket offset, this one. So basically what we are going to do, we are going to take the camera, right? The spring arm, sorry. And right here there's socket offset. So we can do like 100. No, sorry. The Y section, the Y. This should be the Y. For example, 75. We're gonna do 75 with a rotation angle, for example, of 5. angle of 5. So we're just gonna put it like this. No, pulse like this. So we're gonna set it the angle later on. But for now, we're just gonna set the socket offset of 75. That's what we are doing right now. So we're gonna get this, right? Split that. Now we're gonna set socket offset. You may ask why we are doing this. I'll explain. Once again, split that and plug in the X and the Z value. The Y value, however, will be lerped. So let's get the socket offset Y, lerp. The A will be 0, the B will be the leaning amount of centimeters, which is 75 of course. And the alpha will be the position Y. Just like that. Congratulations, you did the first step. So what we can do stop and start leaning right with the timeline, right, and setting the Y offset of the spring arm, just like that. So we can add the color if you want to. I will have this one. So we have the first one. Now, how to do and how to actually play it will be very, very simple. So right here we have the input section. Yeah, for now we are gonna hard code it. We're gonna do E key. So we're gonna have the E key and we're gonna have the Q key, just like that. Of course, you can create inputs and stuff. So by pressing E probably is gonna be right, start leaning right, and when release, stop leaning. If we actually play that, it will not work. So if we play and lean, you can see it doesn't work. It doesn't do what we actually want it to do, and that's kind of weird, isn't it? Oh, by the way, I actually forgot, go into your timeline and do this ignore time dilation. So sorry, my bad. It should not be stop right here, stop leaning right. It shouldn't go into the stop, it should go into reverse. So we are going to go back to our core that we created last time, the event function, the blueprint function library. Go into that. I'm gonna create a new function called play rate. In here, we are going to have inputs, one input of seconds. This will be a float, and another one called timeline. And this one will be timeline component. Now we are going to get from timeline set play rate, this one. The new rate will be divided by 0.1. No, sorry, with 1. And this B value will be selected. This one, this not the first one, but just select. Now, if this seconds is less than or equal to, plug it in. If it's less than or equal to 0, if it's false, plug into the seconds. So it should look like this. Now let's go to BP main player, go to construct script, and in here we are going to do play rate, the function that we created. So it should be the play rate event functions. Now, in the component section there should be leaning right timeline. Plug it in, and the seconds will be, you can actually just promote it into a variable probably. Then I'll just set it to 0.5. So if I play, you can see it moves faster than usual, so it's just the play rate. So if you want to move faster or slower, it's quite up to you. If you want it, you can create a macro as well. You can call it player settings, and in here from the console script, just copy this and paste it. So these will be like player settings basically. So plug it in, plug that in. Now in the console script, delete that and plug in the macro. Sorry. Just like that. And it should work the same, so you can see. Now we are going to create a function called update camera. In here we are going to have a spring arm and the camera. So get both of them. Get world location from the camera and from the spring arm, just like that. Now, once again, distance vector. Plug it in. And we are going to have map range clamp. This one. So from the in range B, we are going to plug in the leaning amount. And from the out range B, we are going to select, once again, this select, the normal one. And plug in leaning right. And if it's false, we're gonna multiply that by minus 1, sorry. Basically what it means, we are going to, if it's leaning right, if it's true, then okay, fine. We're just gonna promote that into a variable called leaning angle. So that's fine, that's okay. But if it's false, aka it's leaning left, we're just gonna minus 1 by it. So it's the opposite side, I guess, opposite. You know, you get the point, right? After that, the return value will just get player's controller, set control rotation, split that, and now from the player's controller, get control rotation, split that as well, plug in the X value. No, don't plug in the X value, plug in the Y and the Z. The X value will go into the return value. Connect the execute pins, and that should be about it. So now let's go to event graph, find begin play. Before this, let's have a delay of 0.2. We are going to set timer by function name. Go to function, the function that we created, F2 I guess, copy the function's name, plug it in, bam, set it to looping, set the time 0.0.1, sorry, and that's it. If you compile and if you play, nothing works because I'm stupid. The leaning angle, set it to 5 or 10 or whatever you want it. Just test it out by yourself, and if you play, you can see it actually leans, and it has the angle of leaning. For the leaning left, it's the same concept. So let's go right here, basically copy everything, paste that in. What will change though, so rename the functions to leaning left or start leaning left. So be stop leaning left. You can for now just plug it in. So start leaning left, stop leaning left. Now you just have to change the variables, leaning left to leaning right. So just change these variables, and the set leaning right to set leaning left. So set leaning left to true, and set leaning left to false. So what we are going to do for the left one though, is multiply the b value of the leaning amount by 1, minus 1. So we're just gonna take the leaning amount, multiply that by minus 1 and plug it into the b value. The a should stay at 0. So go back to your not update camera, but your macro that you created, or you didn't. And if you remember, we set the leaning right timeline. We have to duplicate that and set it for the leaning left as well. So leaning left, that should be on the components. Nope, there isn't. So what we have to do is remake the timeline, or rename it to leaning left timeline, just like that. So don't forget to rename it. Yep, just rename it. It should technically work. So there should be leaning left timeline. Plug it in, and we cannot press E and Q at the same time, and I just bugged it out somehow. So the bug is the leaning right timeline on the leaning left, so you have to change it to leaning left. So yeah, I was spending like 20 minutes trying to figure out the bug, so now I get it. So if you play, everything should work. The bug, by the way, was when you press Q and then you press E, then it's gonna like automatically do something. Now you can see you can lean perfectly, so it's false. So that's gonna be basically it. So you can lean left, you can lean right, you can lean left. So you can lean right, you can lean left. I think it's pretty cool. So if you enjoyed, consider to follow or whatever. And yeah.